What is up, Rose Josh? In this episode of World of Warships for Beginners, we're going to dive into actual captain specs. So last episode, if you haven't checked it out, we went over kind of when it's the right time to retrain a captain, when it's the right time to get a new captain, how Captain XP works on the post-battle screen and all that kind of stuff. And then today, we're actually going to dive into captain builds, very, very basic captain builds. Later in a video in the future, we will do a more as you get up more and more points, kind of specialized captain builds, stuff like that. But now I've been getting asked a lot, what's a very good just starting captain build for each class? What's a very good just basic captain build? And that's what we'll dive into. Right now we have now unlocked we're sticking with the USN line for this whole series. And we've now just unlocked the CVs. We unlocked that last night. And we have the battleship, cruiser, and destroyer. So we have a CV captain we're training up right now. We have a Wyoming captain, a battleship captain, a cruiser captain, and a destroyer captain. At one point, we will have two different captains for the cruisers. We'll actually have different captains for those ones. Completely different builds, because this side is going to be, even though they're both cruisers, this is a heavier shell, this is a lighter shell, so even within cruisers, there's going to be different builds. So let's dive into some very basic builds. We will stick to a 10-point captain build. I mean, even right now, we're just at tier 4, so we're rocking 5 points, 4 points on each one of these. No big deal, but these will give you a very good basic captain builds for each class to just give you a good starting point and a good one to slowly work up as you go. So here we are on shipcomrade.com, and I'll put a link down below to this. It actually has a captain calculator, which is a pretty nice tool. It goes over all of the extra, like all the details of what each captain skill does. So you can go in and then it tells you how many points, figure out how many points you have, make a captain build, and then you're good to go. So I'll put a link down below. This is a really, really good tool, and I always use this tool to go over certain builds, and you'll see this throughout this entire series whenever we talk about captains. So first one, let's go over destroyers, a very standard kind of skill to just work with, and I will kind of go over what I consider good skill points for, especially for your first 10 points, and then kind of maybe if you want to switch up for play style, you can definitely do that. Again, we're going to stick with the USN line, but I will dive into a couple other things for this and maybe that. So for the first point, so it goes 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, so one of each will equal 10. Now for the first point, this is pretty standard for all of my destroyers. I recommend this for every destroyer that I play, a lot of cruisers too as well, is priority target. So what this is going to do, this is going to let you know when you are detected how many ships are focusing you. So if you know that it's a 0, or it doesn't say any number, you can say more broadside and focus your guns more on a target if you're shooting down, let's say, a destroyer versus destroyer. Also, if you are going in and out of detection, you will know if you're targeted by 6, 7, a whole bunch of ships, you know it's best to just smoke up and then get away. So priority target is what I always recommend. Some people grab preventive maintenance, which just helps you lose your torpedo tubes less. I like this because of the information it gives you, and I highly recommend it for a destroyer. Last stand, this is mandatory. If you are playing a DD, you really need to get last stand. By now you've played a couple DD games and you know how annoying it is to lose your engine or steering and not be able to turn. What last stand does is it lets you use it. Although with the penalty, it lets you continue to use your steering gears and propulsion with if they get knocked out or whatnot. So last stand, I believe, is mandatory. As a destroyer, you don't, I won't even talk about any of these other ones. Just pick up last stand. You're going to really enjoy it. So this is one that is going to get better and better the higher tier you go up, and I really do recommend it, at least for the USN line, and that is Survivability Expert. What this is going to do, this is going to give you more HP per tier as you go up. So obviously it's going to have a very little impact at low tiers. Tier 2, it's only going to give you 700 more life. That's no big deal. It's one salvo. But as you get up higher and higher and higher, it's going to give you more. Obviously, at tier 10, it's going to give you 300 or 3,500 life, which is a massive increase to a health pool of a lot of DDs. So this one's going to get better over time. One thing, let's say if you're running like an IJN or like the Japanese line or like the German line, something like that, torpedo armament expertise is pretty nice too. This one lets you get out more torps faster. So torpedo tubes, this is pretty nice there. I really do recommend Survivability Expert. Also, you could pick up maybe Superintendent for an extra smoke, extra consumables, and if you're running German, you could run an extra hydro. I think for a very basic build, Survivability Expert is awesome for destroyers. It lets you stay alive because you have more life. For the fourth point, this is basic. This is what you want to grab first on nearly everything. There are a couple situations which we will get into later with like Russian DDs it's not really needed, but this is something you want to grab first. This is a very, very simple destroyer build for your first 10 points. So once you get there, just keep adding these in. What a lot of people do is they'll get one point. This is their 3rd point. This is their 6th point, and then they're sitting with 7, 8 points. So they're sitting with 2 or 3 points there, and they're looking for something to spend it on. It's going to be tough to do at first, but you're going to want to wait and get that 10 points. So you're going to be sitting there with a few points. It's going to look like they're not being used or kind of wasted, but you want to wait to get that 4th point and get that Concealment Expert. This is a very basic destroyer build, and this is one that will work very well for you all the way through. I run this on almost every one of my DDs, and I recommend this as a starter build. So for cruisers, this is another very basic build. Again, we're going to stick with priority target. There are some other situations later that we'll talk about expert loader being very good. Preventive maintenance is all right. We'll kind of grab that later as we get into more points. But again, priority target, just the amount of information, letting you know if you can stay broadside. This will keep you alive in a lot more instances than you would kind of get punished for without knowing how many ships are focused on you. So priority target is great, just letting you know how many ships, especially if you don't know as a cruiser, if you let's say you're getting spotted by a DD, if you only see one ship but you see 2 things focused on you, you know there's probably a DD somewhere. So that information can be great to then be ready to dodge torps if you needed. Adrenaline rush is what I would go with your second one. This is going to let you have a faster reload the more damage you take. So the more damage you do, basically the more damage you take, the more damage you'll be able to do. This is fantastic. A lot of people might pick up expert marksmanship. This lets you turn your turrets faster. I don't think you're going to need it really. There's only a few cruisers that really honestly need that. Adrenaline rush is just a great skill. You try to take this on as many builds as possible because it's just good to have. I really recommend this. Now this one I will go just at the start. I will pick up demo expert. This is just very basic. This is going to give you a 2% higher fire chance to be shooting. Obviously, if you're a Royal Navy cruiser, which it has AP only, you're obviously not going to take this. But demo expert is great because in the lower tiers, you really don't have that many consumables to make superintendent worth it. This is going to give you an extra one to all consumables. So that's going to be heals, radars, hydros, AA consumables. We're not really going to worry about that as we go. We want something that's going to impact us in our lower tiers right away. So like our tier 4, tier 3, tier 4s, tier 5s, this is going to be basically useless compared to what this is going to initially give you, just a bump to your DPS with 2% higher. And again, what we're going to do is we're going to grab concealment for that 10th point. Want to get your detection that low, basically think of it as something with concealment is going to get the first salvo if you do not have it. So you want to be as stealthy as possible, being able to disengage from fights and get away and survive if you need to. A very basic cruiser build right here. Again, we'll get into some other builds later down the series, but this is very basic for cruisers. Now for battleships, I'm going to go over a couple things here. This is going to be more on your player base. I will show you a very standard build of what I would normally go with. But again, this is going to be more towards what you kind of think. So kind of go off it from there. First of all, preventive maintenance is what I'm going to do. I don't want my turrets to be knocked out, so I want that to be as knocked out as little as possible. So preventive maintenance for our first point is fantastic. Later in the game, I do like having direction center for catapult aircraft. Basically, this is going to happen in later tiers where you have, let's say, like a spotter plane or a fighter plane. This is going to put a second one up in the sky. We'll get to that in later videos. Now, this one is probably going to be a little bit different for what a lot of people would normally do, but I like picking up high alert. So as you're seeing, as your battleship, you are starting to get lit on fire more and more. There's people shooting HE. It's going to happen. So this is 10% to reload for damage control party consumable. So what you're going to want to do is it's going to give you faster repair. I really enjoy this. I run this on almost every one of my battleships. I think it's extremely good. Extra marksmanship, since the nerf a while ago, it's not really worth it. It's little to no buff. Again, adrenaline rush is fantastic to have. It's just an icing on the cake. We'll end up grabbing that later on a lot of builds. So for 3, again, this is going to be basic survivability, negative 15% to time on fire and recovering from flooding. So this is going to let you be on fire for less time. And then once you combo it with high alert, minus 10% to fire. So you can repair faster and fires last a short amount of time. So this is a fantastic one to grab. And then double up on basically a survivability. I really run these on a lot of my battleships. A lot of people might want to grab superintendent. Right now at the lower tiers, it's only going to give you an extra heal. So in my opinion, it's not really worth it for one extra heal, and for these, you'll actually save more damage overall from just basic survivability for fires lasting a short amount of time. So it's just better value early compared to later where maybe Superintendent might work. Now for this last one, it's really going to kind of depend on what line you're going through. We're going through, let's say like the New York and the New Mexico, Colorado. Their AA is okay. It's nothing too crazy, but I recommend maybe picking up AFT. This is going to add 20% to your fire range and 20% to AA to the DPS as well. So this is going to be kind of nice just to have. It's basically you want to get that extra little bit of range to knock some fighters out. Once you start getting that tier 6, tier 7 range, you'll be running into a lot more CVs, and there's going to be a lot more planes in the sky, and you want to knock out some extra planes. One thing you could also grab, and a lot of people don't really find this that popular of opinion, but I do, I run it on almost every one of my battleships, is I actually grab Concealment Expert. So it's -14 to detectability by battleships. So what this is going to do is make your battleship stealthy. Again, the example that I use on cruisers, if you have concealment and another person doesn't have concealment in the same battleship, you will always get the first salvo on them because you will spot them before they spot you. Honestly, for an early one, I'm going to grab advanced firing training, getting that extra range on not only secondaries as well as AA. I think this is a very, very basic build. Basically, what we're doing is we're protecting our guns as much as possible, staying off of fire and having those fires have as little impact as possible, and then we're protecting ourselves from planes as well as being offensive with secondary range with AFT. This is a very basic 10-point build. Again, I feel like early tiers Superintendent just doesn't really get the value. Vigilance, honestly, I don't think you'll get the value as well. Adrenaline Rush is fantastic. We will get it later, and then Concealment we will also get later as well. A very basic 10-point Battleship Captain build. So last but not least, our aircraft carrier is our latest unlocked class, and this is obviously my weakest class, but this is still another basic build I would run for 10 points on this, and this is what I would run here. First point, grabbing Aircraft Servicing Expert. This is going to give your aircraft 5% more life and then 10% for servicing time, so your aircraft can live longer and they can pump out faster. So that's a great, fantastic 1-point skill. I think it's amazing. There's some other stuff that like Dogfighting Expert you'll use kind of later, but right now I think this is just really good. Make your planes you pump out as many planes as possible and then have them live as long as possible. For this one, this is going to be kind of up to you, but this is what I'm going to recommend is Torpedo Acceleration. So what you're going to want to do is this is going to help you against stuff that's extremely fast like cruisers and destroyers. And the tier 4 and tier 5 CVs, you can only auto drop, so that's basically you click and then rotate it whichever direction you want. Most of the time, if a cruiser turns in or away from it, you're only going to get them with maybe 1 or 2. Speeding up these, making them faster, +5 knots, you can potentially get that third torpedo, which could potentially be a kill. So speeding this up, I think is an extremely good skill. I run this on almost all of my CVs. Another one is Expert Rear Gunner. Since we're on the USN line, we have 3 squads. So basically when you're going away or something's attacking you, as you're going away, your rear gunner will have a 10% average damage per second to basically defend themselves. This is kind of nice every once in a while. It basically, the more squads, it's stronger on the IGN line because you have more squads to play with. But for USN, I just like having that Torpedo Acceleration with the big wide USN torp spread. You're going to really want this. Now this one as well, this is going to be an offensive one, Torpedo Armament Expertise. So this is pumping out your torp bombers faster. So 20% on torpedo bombers, reload time, pumping those things out and getting those big hits on battleships, cruisers, whatever, faster. Very, very standard. And then the last one is air supremacy. So what this is going to do is this is going to add 1 fighter aircraft to your squad and then 1 dive bomber, not a torp bomber, only the dive bombers. So what this is going to do is it doesn't give you extra planes in your hangar, but it will make your 1 fighter squad stronger, especially at the Langley. So basically what it will do is it will give your squad 7 compared to the standard 6. And so when you're going against, you have 7 and then they have 6, you have a higher chance of killing all of his planes because it's 7. Basically how AA works is it's all a roll of a dice. If you roll a certain number, then you will knock out a plane. So with having 7 compared to 6, you have more chances to kill off his planes and then winning that air exchange and then taking over air control. Air supremacy. So also just having an extra dive bomber to do damage, setting fires on a ship is amazing. It doesn't affect torp bombers though, only fighters and dive bombers. So this is a very, very standard 10-point captain for CVs, and I really wouldn't change too much from here. I think you want to basically get planes out as fast as possible, do as much damage as possible with these, and control the air as much as possible. So anyways, guys, I hope this really helps you out going over all these. Again, I'll put a link down below. You can reset your builds, play around with this as much as possible, kind of test out how many points you have. Again, it's going to be kind of tough to kind of sit there. Once you get like the third row, you're gonna have 6, and you have to wait for 4 whole captain skills. It is gonna be tough to kind of hang on there and wait for your 10 point, but trust me, it is worth it. That 4th row is really, really good, and a lot of really good skills. But anyways, a quick little video, not the quickest little video, but I really hope this video helps you guys. Been getting a lot of questions on what are some good basic builds, and I really hope this, guys, helps you out and answers a lot of questions. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Good luck out there, and I'll see you on the next video.